Hi there and welcome back to my channel. This is Sean, the Honest Book Reviewer, with another book review. In this video we're discussing The Treasure Hunters Club, written by Tom Ryan. An arc read for me. And I enjoyed this book. It's quite fun, a lot of adventure, a bit quirky as well in some places. It's about a treasure hunt basically, hence the title. And I like books about treasure hunts. And what drew me to this book in the first place was that title, The Treasure Hunters Club. The second thing that drew me to this book is the author Tom Ryan. I read a book by him about a year or so ago, and I enjoyed that a lot. And I thought, well, that author writes great books. I'm sure to enjoy this book. This book is quite different. Like I said, it's about a treasure hunt in a small town area and with characters that are vibrant, larger than life in some cases, a little bit quirky but not over quirky. But everything in this book just suited that tone and feel in the story. The marketing does suggest that this book is like everyone in my family has killed someone. I don't see that at all in this book. I do see this book is slightly like The Goonies, but more with some of the characters and maybe the adventure. That's where I see the link to The Goonies, the movie. But I think this book stands on its own as a fun read and a pretty good read for people who enjoy just daring adventure type stories with a bit of mystery in there as well. So in this book we follow three main characters. So we have Peter. Peter is in his early 40s, I think, in this story, and he thinks himself being stuck in dead-end jobs. He thinks he's going nowhere in his life. He gets a letter from a grandmother he never knew he had, and his grandmother took a long time to track him down, but wants him to come and visit with her and stay with her, and we find out his grandmother is quite wealthy. So Peter makes a choice. He's going to go and see his grandmother for the first time. Then we have Dandy, and Dandy I think is a great character in this book. She's a teenager, and she's also very clever, very capable, quite quirky as well in certain ways in this book, not overly quirky. What I like about this character is just the sense of fun that comes with her as well, that sense of daring as well, and adventure. The willingness to be just caught up in this mystery, this riddle that everyone's trying to solve. And she puts herself in danger. She puts herself in the middle of all those things to kind of relive all those moments she spent with her grandfather as well, because in this book her grandfather passes away at the start of this story, and it was his wish that she would join this treasure hunters club. So it's through Dandy we get to know, understand more about this club, and also just meet other characters in this book that are very important to the overall story. So Dandy plays a very pivotal role to this whole book. And thirdly, we have Cass, and Cass is in her 20s, I think, and she wants to be a writer. She did publish a book, but it kind of went nowhere, and she's kind of stuck for ideas for her second book. Then she gets out of the blue an offer to be a house sitter for I think a year or something in this small town where this treasure hunters club is, and this big mystery is about this missing treasure. And Cass hears about this and she thinks, well, I'm going to write a book that's based on herself trying to, be involved and try to find this treasure herself, learn more about it and more about the mystery and the history of the area. That's where Cass comes into this story. Out of all the three characters, I think Dandy suits the tone and feel of this book the most, because even though this book is a book for adults, the writing style and just the feel of this book I think is more YA. It just feels like that to me anyway. Maybe older YA, but it feels like YA to me, and Dandy being this kind of teenage Nancy Drew character suits that I think more than Cass and Peter. So what drives this treasure hunt idea in this book? We have this local history about a pirate treasure that was found decades ago. A group of teenage boys discovered it, and then it went missing. Nobody knows where. And we learn more about that in memories that come about from somebody's journal in this book. Won't tell you any more about that at all. And then we have this group of people. They form this club called the Treasure Hunters Club, and they've been meeting for many years and trying to solve where this treasure went. And members of this club have been turning up dead one by one. That's the mystery element. Is it natural deaths, or is somebody out there killing them? And that drives other characters in the book to be involved in this mystery as well. So this treasure hunt, this pirate treasure, of course, is the central focus in this book. Man, why would you call it a treasure hunters club if this book isn't about treasure? That hunt for the treasure I found quite exciting. We have different characters trying to find the treasure. Some characters are likable, some aren't, but they're all different. And they're all trying to find it for different reasons, different motivations behind it. And I thought both mysteries, the deaths of these people in this club and the treasure itself, I thought both mysteries were handled very well in this book. There are twists and turns and surprises, and I found many of those twists and turns very surprising indeed. And I love those moments in this book where the whole story just shifts because you learn something else. There's a big surprise, everything kind of turns, at a sharp angle. I won't say it's like a complete 180 or 360, but they're very sudden turns, very quick turns, and it just makes this book even more exciting, I think. I think the characters as well, the different characters in this story make it very exciting because every character feels different. Even characters that are in this town who've been living there for all their lives over many years, they're all different and unique in my view, and written very well. Some better than others, of course, but every character plays a role, and I think in most cases those roles are written very well. So I like the fact that we have different characters playing out in this story because it just gives different life to this story, gives different life to the setting, and it just makes me think that this author knows how to write characters of different ages, both genders as well, and knows how to make those characters feel real. The setting of this book is just brilliant. And a small town mystery, a small town seaside mystery, and I like that type of setting in books. This also had an almost cozy mystery feel to it as well, which I also enjoy because I love cozy mysteries. And I like mysteries. I like small town mysteries. So for me, 3 great reasons to enjoy this book. And also with the characters. So with the characters, they are quirky, but not overly quirky. And not every character is quirky. So I like that balance. I like having characters that are just more grounded. I like having characters that seem more outrageous. But like I said, no character in this book is overly quirky. So even though we have a few characters larger than life in this book, they're grounded enough and balanced enough to make all this seem lifelike and real. There's a real sense of joy and fun in this book, and I think the author felt that as well, because when you read this, it's effortless. The writing style is effortless. The read is quite quick. And I think the author just had a great time writing this, because when an author has fun writing a book, I think it comes through in the tone and feel of the story. When you finish a book and you feel joyous, when you finish a book and you feel satisfied, I think the author really had fun writing that book as well. Dandy is my favourite character in this book. So in this book, Dandy is a teenage girl. She's like a teenage Nancy Drew, and I love that in this story. I like Nancy Drew mysteries, and I feel like Dandy was based or influenced on Nancy Drew. Dandy is tenacious, brave, witty, clever. There are small moments, I think, where she may be written above her years, but only minor moments, so didn't impact my view of the character overall. And in fact, if this book had been solely focused on Dandy as a main character and nobody else, this book still would have been brilliant. Cass as a character is interesting because she drove certain things in the mystery and the plot. But I just found her character, her voice in the book, a bit juvenile for her age. And that's where I think this book feels more YA, through Cass's character. Because I get a sense that her voice is more teenager than somebody in their 20s. That's what I felt reading this anyway. But she does drive the plot forward in certain aspects. And without this character, this plot wouldn't work, because this character brings something else to the story. Brings with her a character that is researching something, being inquisitive, being a bit nosy. And that's a bit different, I think, to Peter in this book. Dandy as a character is also inquisitive and nosy, but Cass approaches it from a different point of view, from being an outsider, so very important in the story overall. I just wish that her voice in the story didn't feel like a teenager. The voice should have felt like somebody in her 20s. Peter is the character I think the author wanted to be the main protagonist, and I guess he is in certain ways. At the start of the book, I wasn't sold by this character. His voice wasn't strong for me. There was interest and intrigue there, but that's based on the letter he receives from his grandmother, not on the character. Peter is interesting and important in certain ways later on in the book, but for me, not the strongest character in this story. And like I said, Dandy for me is the strongest character. Peter feels more like a side character to me, and almost feels like sometimes he's pushed to the background. So I was a bit confused with that. Is Peter meant to be the main protagonist, or just a support character by the end? On the whole, this book is a fun adventure. It's a treasure hunt book. It's got action and daring, it's got mystery, intrigue, it's got great characters, it's got fun characters, it's in a small town setting, which I love. A lot to enjoy about this book, and I rate this a 4 out of 5. It does feel slightly YA to me more than adult fiction. It is marketed as adult fiction, so I don't know about that voice, the narrative voice in the book. And maybe it's because the author does write YA as well. And I don't know if the author writes more adult fiction or not, but I've only read one YA book by this author before this book. And for me, both books have the same kind of feel and tone in the writing style. On my channel, I review many mysteries. If you enjoy mysteries, check out my channel and subscribe. On the screen now is a link to another video for a book I'm sure you'll enjoy.